Hello guys, good evening to all. How you guys are doing? Hello everyone. Good evening guys. How are you? Hello guys. Okay. Yeah, good evening guys. Good evening. Good evening. King Rajesh is there. Sandeep is there. Rajesh is there. Okay. Okay, so today is basically the last day. What we'll be going to do, we'll be just going to learn about the a mini project we'll be basically going to do over here, where we'll be just going to analyze multiple things. And one more thing is basically there, guys, like uh okay, like full outer joint we was talking about in yesterday session. So I remember it like I have used it in Python, but if we just talk about SQL, in SQL we cannot use it. There is no syntax of full joint. So what we have to do, like I have shown you the code union all, using the union all, you basically have to use it for the full outer joint. So full outer joint is basically not there in SQL. If you are using it with Python, then you can basically implement it. Okay. Hello Samarth, how are you? All right. So let's just start the session. So what we'll be going to do, a little bit like table we have basically created for doing a mini project over here. Let me just show you this thing also. All right. So you guys will be just see one thing, guys. In real life, what basically happens is whenever you guys are basically getting stuck at anywhere, right? So always just go through with Google's. So Stack Overflow is basically a good thing which will be basically going to follow over here. So over here, I was just like searching like why this thing is basically happening. So in Python, I have used it. Like full joint basically I have used it in Python when you will be going to connect your SQL with Python. At that time, you will be going to use it. But if we just talk about, there is no syntax like that. There is no syntax. Let us just scroll it out. So over here, like someone is saying, basically, I have two tables doing this thing. Okay. So over here, like people are saying, okay, so basically MySQL doesn't have a syntax for full outer join. Okay, so what you can basically do, you have to use the combination of left and right join to obtain full join, like the same thing that we have basically seen in the yesterday's session, right? So like this, you guys will basically going to use this one. Okay, so just give me 1 second. Okay, so just give me 1 second, guys. All right, so let me just stop sharing it and let me just share my SQL one. Okay, so today is basically the day 5. This is a day 5. You'll be able to see a schema is basically there. So let me just refresh it. Day 5. Consumers, we have sales. Let us just say if we are just talking about a book. So the details of author, and I basically have I'm audible and I'm visible also, right guys? Is my screen not visible? Let me just again share it. Okay, I think there is some problem. I'm just sharing my screen, but it is not getting appear. Are you able to see my the SQL one? Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm just sharing it. Just give me one. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm just sharing it, but I think some problems basically there. Yeah, just 1 second, guys. I don't know why my screen is not getting this thing. Just give me 1 second. I'll be just going to rejoin. Just give me 1 second. Okay, now I think it is visible, right? Okay, cool. So we basically have a day 5 over here, and we basically have tables like author is there, book is there, customer is basically there, and sales is basically there, right? So author is basically having a information about the books, like what kind of a author is basically there. So let's just look into this particular table, how my author data will basically going to look like. So over here I have author ID, the first name, last name, and birth year. All right. So now if I just show you the my book data, so this is how it basically looks like. I have book ID, I have title, okay, what is the name of the particular book, what is the author ID, right? And categories basically they're like, is it a fiction, is it a murder book, is it a entertaining or something, published year, in which year it got basically published, price, this price is basically in dollar. All right, so this is not in Indian rupees. So just see this thing now. We have a author ID like 1234 this thing, and same author ID we even have over here, right? So we'll be just going to match it. Now if we just talk about customer, like which person bought which one, so let us just say phone number of a customer and email of the customer, customer ID, first name, last name, email address is this particular thing. Now if I just click on the sale one, so that is sale ID, book ID, sale date, quantity, total price. Okay, so just see this thing, book ID is basically there. If I'll be just going to show you, okay, book ID and customer ID, where I have the sale ID, let me just look into it. Author ID is there, book ID is basically there, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 like this we have. So in sales we have book ID. So from book ID we can basically see, okay, if there is a one particular book, so how many quantities of that particular book is being sold. And if we just talk about this thing, okay, what was the price of the total, this thing, total price, what is the total benefit, total revenue that is being generated. So this thing will be easily able to get it. So in the day 5 we basically have we basically have 4 tables over here. So we'll be going to analyze some things from this 4 table only, some are useful insight, and side by side I'll be even going to ask you, okay, what do you think, what should, how we'll be going to do this thing. So let's just start this thing now. Now let's just say, if you guys want to look into all the authors, okay, if you want to look into each and everything about the authors, this book that we have authors, if you want to look into all of these things, what do you think, what should be the query that I have to write if I have to look into the author table? Come on guys, quickly tell me in the chat, what do you think, what query should I write over here to look into authors table? Each and everything I want to know about the author table, all the columns, all the rows. All right, Rajesh. Let me just copy the same code that you have sent to me. Okay. Let me just basically write the same thing over here. So you are basically saying select star from and the particular table name. authors. All right. Okay, but this is giving me an error. Why it is giving me an error? Okay, why it is giving me an error, guys? What should I do over here? What is the mistake that I'm doing? What do you think? Semicolon. Okay. Day 5, right. We forgot to mention the schema name. Okay. Always remember this thing. Day 5. So just see this thing. Okay. Similarly, if I want to look into maybe books, maybe customer, maybe sales, I can do the same thing. Let us just say books. Now I'm saying execute it. I'll be able to see my book table. And let us just say I'll be just going to do customers, and I'll be going to execute it. Okay, it will going to give me the customer one. Similarly, with respect to the sales. All right, pretty easy till now. Things are basically going very easy. Now, just tell me one thing. What you guys have to do is you have to tell me this thing now. What you have to do? Find all books by a specific author where author ID is 1. What do you think, guys? Find all books by a specific author where author ID will going to be 1. Okay, come on, guys. Quickly in the chat. Okay, select book ID from books where author is equal to 1. Okay, like wherever author is this thing. So like this, we basically have to use over here. So yeah, you basically exactly don't have to write the table name, just the syntax that I'm basically looking over here. So I can basically say it is going to be select star from day 5 dot books where author ID is equal to 1. All right, so execute this one. So obviously you will be able to see, okay, where the author ID is 1. This is the book name, that is The Great Adventure. Book ID is 1, author ID is 1, and my category is going to be fiction. Okay, that is my gene. And let us just say published year is 2010. The price is $19.99. Okay. Similarly, let's just say now what I have to do is a little bit change is basically there. Okay, a little bit change is basically there. Now I have to find all sales from a specific book where book ID is equal to 1. This is my sales table. Okay, and this is the question with respect to one specific this thing. How you will be able to do it, guys? Similarly, pretty same. It will be like also pretty same like this one. So I can basically say select start from day 5 dot sales where book ID is equal to 1. So let us just look into the sales one. So book ID is what? Book ID is 1. So it should give me this particular record where the total sale is basically 99.95, right? So if I'll be simply going to execute, let me just erase these things. Okay, so yeah, if I'll be simply going to execute it, it should give me that record only. So yes, over here it is giving me that particular record only. Okay, what is the queue? Queue is like what you are saying, where book ID is equal to 1. Okay, All right. Now, let us just say a little bit hard one. I'll be just going to ask to you, but it is still a easy one. Try to answer this one, guys. Now, okay. Now, let us just say your manager will going to call you, and he or she will basically going to ask you, okay, just do one thing. Find total sales amount for each book that we have in our record. What you will be going to do at that time, guys? If manager will basically going to call you, your manager will basically going to call you, and he or she will basically going to ask you, okay, just do one thing. Find the total sales amount for each book. What you will be going to do, guys? Just a logic, like not the whole query I am looking over here. Like what I am looking from you guys is, what is your understanding from the question that I'm basically writing over here? What things we'll be going to use over here? Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll be going to do this thing over here. So let us just say what we'll be going to do. Select, I can basically say book ID, like proper this thing we basically have to write over here. Sum. What you will be basically going to sum over here? Let us just say we are using sales. So let us just look into the sales. So what we basically have, book ID is basically like this, and we are looking for the total price that we basically have over here. Okay, this particular column. So what we'll be going to do, select book ID comma sum total price as, like, how you want to represent the total price. So let us just say we'll be just going to represent it as total sales, right? And from which table you are basically looking for? Which table you are basically looking for? Can I say it is from the day 5 dot sales? All right. Group by book ID. Okay. Now just see this thing. So what we are basically able to see. So yeah, Akansha, you are basically right. Yeah, you are right, Akansha. Okay. Some will be going to use, okay, Neha, right. So just see this thing. What we are doing, we, with respect to each and every book, we'll be just going to look into the total price. So if you are looking for something like this, so at that time we use group by. Okay. So this thing you can basically send to your manager. So he or she will be able to know, okay, with respect to this book, this was the total sales, total revenue that we have basically generated. Okay. This is what they can basically do. Now, okay. Now tell me the answer for this one. What if we basically have to find the total number of sales for each book? What do you think, guys? What we'll be going to do over here? Come on, guys. If you are even going to wrong, try to, like, participate in these things. At least give it a try. Because initially when you guys are learning these things, what we used to do, we just like sitting in the corner doing these things, never trying to even participate, because maybe when I was basically learning these things, I was like very scared about these things. Will I be able to, like, if I'll be just going to answer it if someone is basically asking to me, and if I'll be going to wrong, so it will be basically an insult for me. I will going to feel little bit ashamed. Okay, I was wrong, and most of the people are basically answering it right. So this was the thing when I was learning these things. I was thinking at that time, but it is always good to participate in these things. it always gives you some kind of a confidence over here. Okay, it's always good to participate in it, because let us just say, if you will going to work as a maybe a Java developer, maybe a SQL database developer, you will be going to work as maybe a Python developer. All right, so at that time, managers and company also look this thing into employees, whether they are like participating it, whether they are like participating in things from their own or not. It's not like that manager will basically going to assign you a task. You even basically have to ask to the manager, okay, I am basically more than interested in this thing. And let us just say if manager is explaining you something about the project, and if you basically want to pick the hard one, let us just say main deployment part, you basically want to uh, pick up, that you basically want to be included in the main deployment part. Maybe you should like participate in the whole creating the whole pipeline for the data structure and all, maybe like this. So you can basically tell them, okay, can I basically get this task and this thing. So this thing is always good for your journey. Okay, so that's why try to do participate in this thing, guys. It is always good, because for sure you will be going to get a certificate, but in interview they will ask you these things. So at that time you have to do the coding part. That's why I'm telling you these things. Okay, I hope you got my point, what I'm basically trying to say over here, right? So what we have to do, find the total number of sales of each book. So what we'll be going to do, book ID will be obviously going to select, because we have to find the total number of sales for each book. Now what we are doing, we'll be basically going to do, let us just say sales table. Let's just look into sales tables. So we have something known as quantity, right? So quantity will be just going to look into. So over here, let us just see that this thing Q is basically capital over here. So in the same format, we'll be basically going to write it. So that is going to be quantity. Okay, as total sales, not total sales, it will going to be total quantity. From where you will be going to select it, day 5 dot sales only, group by book ID obviously, and simply let us just execute it. Okay, what it is basically saying now, okay, I think, okay, this is basically working, and it is also the same only. Okay, it is showing the result, but over here it is basically giving me these things, that there is a syntax error in it. Okay, so let us just leave it. So from a book ID we will be able to see, okay, we have total quantity, that is like one basically have total quantity of 5, that you'll be able to see over here. All right, and two basically have 2, and 3 book ID basically have one quantity. Okay, now what we basically have to do for now, let us just say if we basically have to find the average price of book by the categories. All right, what we have to do is we have to find the average price of book by its category. So what we'll be going to do at this time, just see, again this table will be going to select which will going to be my books. So over here I'll be just going to work with, I have book ID, title, author ID I have, and gene basically I have, published year is basically I have, and price basically I have, right? So what I'll be going to do, just come over here in this query, and we'll be basically going to find this one. So what we'll be going to do, select, okay, and we'll be simply going to do the average of the price. So for doing the average, we just use AVG. All right, so AVG price is basically there as, I can basically say how you basically want to represent it. So that is going to be, sorry, average price. All right, now we'll be just simply going to write from day 5 dot books and group by, sorry, group by, I'll be just going to write, okay. So like this is the query that we'll be basically going to use over here for finding out the average prices. So you'll be able to see, okay, fiction is basically having the average price of this thing. So from this analysis, what you can basically find, let me just explain you. You can just see one thing, that people used to buy book which is non-fiction. According to the data that we basically have, we can basically see that my audience, or basically I can basically say the market that I have, they are more interested in the non-fiction one. And if I just talk about the second one, so that is science. Whichever book is being like in a gene of this thing, science, so that will basically going to, like, that is also going to have a good revenue price, the average price. Okay, okay, this is just a price that we have calculated, not the sales one, right? I thought it is a sales one. Okay, just give me 1 second, let me just look into the data again. Okay, this is basically a book only over here. Okay, so I can basically say the one thing that we can analyze over here is that books which are non-fiction are more costly. So maybe because of the high selling demand, because obviously let us just talk about, if we have fantasy movies, fantasy, or maybe let us just say fantasy is there and romance is basically there. So I can basically say the book which are maybe belongs to the fantasy this thing category, so they people used to buy them less as compared to the non-fiction or maybe the science one. Okay, according to the data set that we have, it is not like that, that we are basically this is the real world data set or something. It is just a data set that we have, according to that we are describing it. So this thing always happen like this only, guys. Yeah. Okay, so now let us just move forward to the next step. All right, what you have to do for now is, how I'll be able to do it, find the most expensive book. Okay, you have to find the most expensive book. Let me just tell you the answer you will be going to get from a book table only, and a little bit hint also, we'll be going to use a limit also over here. Now what do you think, how my query will going to look like over here? Okay, let me just write it side by side also, and I was waiting for your reply also. So select star from, I can basically say, day 5 dot books, day 5 dot books. Now what should I write over here? Max price. Okay, Sahaj, max price will be not going to use. I think I have shown you ascending or descending. That logic will be going to use over here, not the max. Can we do it by using ascending or descending one? Order by, right, Rajesh? So what we'll be going to do over here, we'll be going to use the order by over here. How order by? Just see. Order by will be going to use price descending order, and we'll be simply going to use limit, that is going to be 1. Okay, this thing we'll be going to use. So just see this thing. It is in book ID. The title is The Art of War. Author ID is 11. It is non-fiction. Just see. The previous one that we have seen over there, we have seen, okay, the average price of non-fiction was somewhere around $30 only. So it is showing, okay, the most expensive book that we have, that is belongs to a non-fiction, and the title is The Art of War. Now, similar kind of question I'll be basically going to give you. Now, what do you think? What should be the answer of this one? Find the least expensive book. Okay. I hope now you guys will be easily able to do it. Only one thing we have to change over here. What we have to change? Only one thing we have to change over here. Main screen, I think, is visible. It's not like that. Main screen is visible, Rishikesh. Just see. The code is visible where I'm writing the query. The table is also visible. Just see this thing. Okay. I think each and everything is visible. It's not like that. All right. Okay. So now we'll be going to use ascending, just ascending. Okay. And let me simply just going to execute it. All right. So just give me 1 second, guys. Just one. Okay, guys. So which main code you are talking about? Main code is there. No, I am even able to see on the screen, Rishikesh. Just see the query where I'm writing these things. I think it is properly visible. Okay. Maybe. Okay. I think it is good for now only. Okay. Okay. So everything is clear till now, right, guys? It seems you guys are enjoying. Are you guys enjoying the session or not? Can you get a quick thumbs up? Maybe yes or no in the chat. So according to that only, I'll be just going to move forward. Okay, cool, guys. So just tell me about this thing now. Let me just show you the table also, so you guys don't have to worry about it. So this is basically going to be the table that we'll be going to use. That is books. Find all books published after 2015. Published year we have to look. Okay, published year we have to look into. So let us just say select star. Select star from, I can basically say, day 5 dot books. I can basically say where. Let's just say what is my this thing, books. Published year, right? Published year is basically there. So where published year is greater than 2015, right? So just see this thing. I just want to look into the books which where published year is basically greater than 2015. Similarly, so greater than we'll be going to use. If it will go, if it will going to be less than 2015, then I'll be going to use less than sign over here. Okay. Now a little bit tricky one I'll be just going to ask you. Maybe you guys will going to learn something about it. Find authors who have written more than one book. This is a good one. So which table should I follow? Obviously we'll be just going to follow the book one, right? Select star from day 5 dot books. So what I have to find over here, I have to find author who have written more than one book. Just a logic, little bit logic I'm looking for over here, guys. Not a whole query I'm expecting from all of you. Count greater than 2. Okay, just see. Shah Khan count you will be going to use. But greater than 2, that means author who have written more than 2 books. Okay. So if it will going to be count greater than 1, okay, then it will be okay. Count. Obviously, count will be going to use. Right, guys. Right, right. So let me simply just let me simply just write the query over here. That is going to be select. Let us just say I have in my book, I basically have this one. Okay. Author ID is basically that we'll be going to use. Okay. So according to that, I'll be just going to say uh, select author ID, comma, count star as number of books, right? Now from where we'll be going to select it? Obviously my schema is going to be day 5 dot books, and after that group by I'll be just going to use author ID, and I'll be just going to use having count star greater than 1. So this is how my whole query will basically going to look like. Okay, so there is no one. What if I will say 0? So obviously because each and every author has written one book only, so there is no repetition, right? Cool. Okay, so just see this, the having clause that we basically have, we only use it by a group by. Okay, where clause you can basically apply to an individual row, like select anything from this thing where id is this thing, sale is this thing, sale is greater than this thing, like this. But having we only use with group by only. Like after this day 5 only you will be going to get the certificate, I think. Okay, this is how you guys basically can use it. Now similarly, if I will just going to ask you, okay, this is the same thing that we have basically seen, but again, just for your better understanding, find the total revenue generated from sales. Okay, so what you have to do, nothing, just sum the total price and it will basically going to give you the answer over here. This thing, like this is the basically total revenue, that is this much of dollar from all the books. Okay, now just tell me one thing, guys. We have customer table. Now I am looking for some kind of a email which are like ending with something. Okay, which are like ending with something. So list all customer with a specific domain, ig example.com. Let us just say it can be a different platform, maybe a yahoo.com, gmail.com, like this it is. Okay, so I just want to find out whether it should be ending like this. So what do you think, how my query will going to look like? What things will be going to use, not a query? Any idea over here, guys? Yes, Rajesh, right. Like operator we'll be going to use, absolutely right. So like operator we'll be basically going to use over here, and this is how it will basically going to look like. Select star from day 5 dot customers where email like. Okay, I have to use if it is matching this thing. So for that I'll be going to use percentage example.com. Okay, so let us just execute this one. Okay, now just see. But if I'll be just going to see, okay, just do one thing, like gmail.com. So obviously it will not going to give you any kind of a record, because no record is basically present like this. Okay, okay guys, clear till now? Yes, left joint if you want, you can even use it, but just see over here, you can even use this thing. At that time only you will be going to use this like. Without like, how you will be able to do it? Okay. Okay, any alternative approach of what, Rishikesh? For what query you was asking? Which query you are basically asking to? Yes, you can use joint over here, right? I think. I think for the count one you are asking, right? I will provide you the data set, don't worry. After the session, I will give you the data set. What you have downloaded trending one, I am not able to get you. Local, Rishikesh, just see, like you have a local host. Similarly, it will be a company data set. Okay, just the credentials will going to change, where you will be just going to write the credentials. Each and everything will totally be going to same, totally be same. The joints, the like that you are basically using over here, same thing you will be going to use over there only. Nothing will basically going to change. All the basic thing that you are learning, only that you will be going to implement in the organization. All right, guys, this is the day 5. If you want to know the basic each and everything, we have explained it in the day 1 only. So watch the recording is basically available. You can go and watch the recording. Anything else, guys, apart from this? Trending one, you might have installed it in a wrong way, maybe because of that. Favorite code editor, there is like no favorite code editor, I can basically say. VS Code, we can use, but these days I am more on Sublime. Sublime, like in my organization, we are more on Sublime, but it's like no favorite editor. I basically have like VS Code, I can basically also write code with, because a good interface is basically there, but Sublime is also good. You don't have to do anything, organization will give you that particular thing. Let me just look into it. What is your name? Trending one, just give me 1 second, okay? Let me just look into it. What you are asking, if I have it or not. Okay, just see one thing. What you have, I think what you are basically asking is, okay, you are basically asking for this thing. So this documentation I'll be going to provide you. Let me just show you. I think this is what you are asking for is, like, whenever if you are downloading it for the Mac, first you basically have to install the server also. Let us just say you might be using window only, right? So first you have to download it, then you basically have to basically install this thing installer over here. But over here I am basically using Mac. So just give me 1 second. So what I was basically doing, after installing, you basically have to run these commands to run the server. Maybe because of that you guys are basically getting error. If you are a Linux user, these are the commands that you basically have to use after installing MySQL. Okay. For Windows, these are basically the step. So what I'll be basically going to do, I'll be simply going to share this link with all of you. In the one link only you guys will be able to get it. Okay. What do you like, Rishikesh? Just see one thing. From the day 1, we have seen each and everything, right? But over here it is just a SQL one. It is not a SQL with Python or maybe with Java or something else, right? So this is the thing only that was there in your syllabus. So we have to wrap up with these things only, because in 1 hour it is not possible to teach each and everything whatever is there on the official documentation. Rest things basically depends on your practice. Trending one, I have shown you like this documentation I'll be just going to give you. First, you have to install the server also. You have to start it, only then this thing will going to work. Okay, guys, so do you have any kind of a question till now? Each and everything, the data set that we have basically discussed. Okay, each and everything that we have basically discussed in it, you'll be able to find it in the one link description. Like one link is basically there, so from there you'll be able to get the queries, what you can basically use at what time, the data sets that we have basically used, and this is installation part also. Okay, so guys, do you have any kind of a question till now? Clash, okay, yes guys, you can basically use MySQL with HTML. That is not a problem. Okay guys, so the things I'll be just going to share with all of you. So this is it for today's session, guys, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. So thanks guys for joining. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, what you are saying? We can, guys, you have to, this is just a basic one, guys. You have to do practice on it. Okay, you basically have to do practice on it, guys. Okay. All right, guys. So I can basically say this is it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining. This is it for this boot camp. Thanks for joining. The details I'll be just going to share with all of you. So this is it for today's session. Then bye, each and everyone. Good night, guys. Take care. Bye bye.